Hi, Ame Gakita. So yeah, here to wanting to know why Kusa had appeared in many comment section in live stream or the mangas, especially the Japanese one, that it had appeared not once, but not twice, but in many times. Which means actually what you guys might not be aware is that despite Kusa, if you actually Google translate it, it means grass, the one with the R, not the L. But what you guys might not be aware that despite being having a meaning of the original grass, it actually hold a secondary meaning in recent years, which means LOL, which tend to mean funny or laughing, or in sometimes the word may actually mean laugh out loud. So what made Kusa mean LOL in recent years in the Japanese section? But what you guys might not be aware is that Kusa actually diverse, just like how LOL was invented in the first place. What people might not be aware is that LOL actually mean laugh out loud, but it's not like people go and say laugh out loud all the time. Either they, I mean, like if you go and tell everyone in the past, do you use LOL in the past? No, in fact, actually, most older generation in the past, if you ask them, LOL is actually invented quite later on, where they actually say that they are laughing out loud, which means that having a burst of laughter which tend to be in the loud voice. But I had no idea which country come up with this, but the one thing is that laughing out loud had become a thing, meaning to say they are laughing out loud. But people find it that typing out the laughing out loud tend to be a little bit too much. So people actually shorten it to LOL, using the first three letter, the initial letter of each word. And that's where LOL got invented. So where does Kusa and LOL come from? Why do the Japanese use Kusa as a way to represent their LOL? In fact, it's the same way as how LOL was invented in a way. What people might not be aware is that the original LOL actually come from the word wala, which actually, yes, it does mean LOL in the Japanese, the original one. And it means funny, or they are laughing, or it means laughter in some cases. But do we use wala? Well, in fact, you guys might not be aware, but there are cases of people actually using the word wala by some Japanese, especially people from the mid-generation, which means that they might be around 30 to 40 years old, or maybe 50 years old, I don't know. But wala is actually the original meaning and the Japan or maybe let's just say the RG of the Japanese slang of funny, which tend to be their way of representing LOL. Wala come from the word walai, which means to laugh or funny. And normally in Japanese, these come from the and in case you guys are wondering why is it called wala, it actually comes from the origin from the Chinese word called xiao, or which means laughing. And yes, it's always mean laughter the OG way. So wala, as how the Japanese call it, they actually tend to use wala, or maybe sometimes they may close bracket or open bracket it just to represent they are laughing with or without, and they always end it at the end, which means like they always go around and say like, oh, sorry, what homoshiroi desu yo na, voila. So what you guys might not be aware is that the Japanese actually have a funny way of using wala, and they always tend to use it at the end of each sentence to represent their laughter, just like how LOL always tend to be at either some people using it as funny, or maybe they just say something along that like, oh, this is so interesting, LOL. But it's not like everyone in the Japanese actually use the wala nowadays. Some of the older people might know, but there are also cases where some of the people of my age will say, yeah, we know that it's been funny. But what you guys might not be aware is that instead of using the kanji when they write the wala, just like how people want in the Japanese want to represent laughter, like they want to say like, oh, this is funny, and they are laughing continuously. meaning to say that they want to represent that they are laughing non-stop. They actually use the word and I mean again, just like how LL come from about, they use the first initial of voila, which is the W. Notice the W over there? Yes, they actually shorten it to just the word W. It doesn't mean win, but actually they just use it as a mean to represent they are laughing, because just like how the Western come up with LOL, which in a sense to mean laughter or funny. I mean, like LOL, just like how this will come about, like they use the word LOL just as to mean the L, laughing out loud. They use the first initial of the word voila. Just like you notice the voila, the word W in the voila kanji, or in the way of the Romaji, is W. So they actually just cut just to represent, to kind of shorten it and make it easier for them to represent, just like how omoshiroi dasho na, and then instead of saying voila, which some people kind of like want to shorten it, they just write W just to represent it, mean it's laugher. So where does voila come about to W and then later to the word kusa? Well, in fact, this is where this W come from. People, like I mentioned, they want to represent laughing non-stop continuously. So what they actually did, don't know who the one who come up with it, but they kind of use the word W. So there are cases where some people might just spend the word W all the way, or how they might just type W, 1W, 2W, 3W, 4W, or maybe sometimes W time infinite, something along the line. But what people didn't realize, that just like how W had always been used to mean that they are laughing non-stop, just if you actually go and ask the Korean people typing out their laughter, it's like ha 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 ha. So it's like, oh, you don't write ha one time because just to represent laughter, or ha ha two times just to represent. You say ha ha, oh maybe ha ha ha. So just like how ha ha, like laughter, like ha, like HA have been represented like many times. The Japanese actually kind of write W once to represent a short term of laughter, but many times just to represent a non-stop of laughter. That is when W start being used seriously, some like WW or WWW, or many times WW type finite. So just like how the Korean, when they use the symbol laughter, ha 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 ha, or he 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 he, or maybe like how the Thailand use five. I have no idea why the five in. I have no idea why they use five as the Thailand laughter, but maybe someone who know how Thai can teach me in the comment section below, maybe. But anyway, just like how laughter ha 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 have represent many times, so just people in Japanese tend to use WW, like, oh, we want to make sure that we are laughing non-stop, so they use WWW just to represent the word, what, spoiler ahead, laughter. So yes, laughter had always meant funny or whatsoever. And again, where does W come into glass? In fact, if you actually look at if you compare these two images, just as how WWW had, after writing a series of the W itself, it does represent glass. The one is the R. So in a sense, that is when people start using kusha to shorten the laughter W. So to the Japanese, people love to use kusa all the time. In fact, it was later on by someone, somewhat, that they realized that the WWW of the Romaji first initial voila does seems like a patch of glass, just like how you just draw a simple W glass, whether is it by one stroke or in very stroke or whatever stroke, I have no idea. But because it does seem like a patch of glass, Japanese people come up with the ingenious way of simplify voila, the W, to just the word that you've seen today in many Japanese live stream or Japanese manga comment section, kusa. This is when it start meaning to have the word of funny LOL, despite even if you ask Google Translate that it mean glass, the one with the R, not the one with the L. That one can be eaten. Well, actually, both can be eaten unless you're asking some sort of Pacific glass. But anyway, what you guys might not be aware is that kusa does come from the original word of walai, because the Japan and they just kind of like saying, oh, we just decided to shorten the Romaji to W, and then they just kind of like cut it into W because they say that it looked like a patch of glass, so they became going to use the word kusa. So in recent years, I had no idea when it started, but it was in recent internet slang period or era or whatsoever that they start using kusa to represent LOL. But in fact, what you guys might not understand, even by many of the majority Japanese people, is that kusa actually meant not just LOL, but it's actually in fact mean LOL time many times, because like I mentioned, walai, the original meaning of walai is mean to laugh or find it funny, and they are laughing. And it's just that they kind of shorten it to WWW because it looked like they want to laugh a lot of time. And because a series of W looked like a patch of glass, so it just became a kusa, they shortened it. So there are times when you come in some live stream, when like maybe you go and check some Japanese live stream where they use the word kusa, actually some people might actually want to represent they are laughing non-stop or so, and they use kusa or kusa one time. But normally, if you want to represent laughter, one time kusa actually mean a series of walai, because like I mentioned, it's www, which means many time laughter, because it's actually more like you can't just go and tell everyone just let's type wala 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 wala. I had no idea what that's. But anyway, it's more easier to just use one word to represent many times laughing in the Japanese turn. So Japanese people start using kusa to represent they are laughing non-stop, which for some reason that despite the original words walai represented LOL. In fact, if you guys actually go and type wala and search it out, it does mean in Google LOL. So that is when walai just kind of diverse some way somewhere, and it became in recent year called kusa, because they just want to shorten it and the Japanese just want to make it easier. So like how LOL had diverse from many ways of laughing my out, or rolling on the floor laughing or whatsoever, like there are many diversion of laughing. So LOL has always been like the OG of laughter. So just like how walai was the OG of laughing in the Japanese, they kind of like diverse it through a series of some way, somehow, some word, and it became kusa. So if you in the next time, if you come across the Japanese live stream or whatsoever, and you see that it's the situation that the streamer are creating is funny to you, don't be afraid to write kusa. It does mean laughter, and it's actually it's something that you want to indicate that you are finding the thing funny. So yeah. Anyway, I hope this helped to give you more information on why walai was the original of LOL became the current situation of using kusa to represent LOL. So if you like the video, don't forget to press the like button. If you're not subscribed and you want to listen to me of having more random chat or more random talk, don't forget to press the subscribe button. With that being said, have a nice day or night. Bye bye.